Now, what do you do when things clearly are just not going your way, where there are things happening that are outside of your control? How do you deal with it? Sometimes we deal with it badly. Sometimes it can go quite well. Well, joining us on the show to tell us, some hot tips on what to do is the wonderful Tanya Unkovich.
Hello, how are you both?
You were doing
Good.
very well, Tanya. We're starting a new segment today called Renovation Confessions. How's things at your place?
Well, I confess I did have a hissy fit this week, more than one. And I said to my husband, was it really bad of me? And he goes, well, it was up there, love. It was up there.
So what do you do next? I mean, once you've had that sort of perhaps less than ideal response to less than ideal circumstances, how do you move forward from that, Tanya?
Well, I've got to say laughter really did help. I actually did laugh at myself, but I also made sure that I learnt my lesson and kind of got curious. Isn't it interesting, Tanya, how intolerant you are of A, B, or C?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting, Tanya, how you reacted and how you behaved? And what are you going to do going forward? Because we've got 2 more months of renovation here happening. So best I learn the lesson pronto.
This is going to be a great series that we've started today.
Yes.
I like this a lot because I feel like, regardless of how we think we're going to act, sometimes things just blindside us, right? And we don't act in a way that perhaps we would like to. So, let's hear some examples of what we could or couldn't do.
Well, one of the big lessons I had was my instinct was telling me something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I followed through on that and then took action. And it was quite harsh, and I did it without hurting the other person's feelings. However, I put a stop to something that I found would be intolerable for me. And so, the lesson here is, for me, follow your instinct. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that is a signal that something isn't quite right. And, well, how do you deal with it? How do you learn the lesson? You actually stop and go, okay, this is what happened. This is what triggered it. What can I do differently next time?
Of course, one thing we've all learned in the last couple of years is that sometimes very important stuff isn't within our control. We need to be able to respond to things that are total curveballs. We need to, I suppose, have the emotional resilience to deal with the unexpected in a way which still takes us in the direction we want to go, right?
Yeah, and, ask yourself that question. How big is this really? Don't sweat the small stuff. What is small stuff? And, this is a time where we can actually really evaluate what is important. Is this really worth burning up so much emotional energy over? How are you going to feel in 2 years' time about what has happened just today? So really good opportunity to actually reevaluate life and the meaning we place on things and on stuff, the material things.
Because, we can have the small things that come our way that can blindside us, but also some major events. And I'm thinking, particularly recently, there have been some very major weather events which have seen people have their homes damaged as a result. So that would be, having to deal with the stuff that's actually quite huge.
Yes. And, I'm thinking back as you're talking about that when we had the flood in our own home.
Yeah.
And how did we deal with it? Well, I'm not going to lie, it was really traumatic. And I remember asking my husband one day, why do you think this has happened to us? And he said to me, I don't know, Tan, but one day we're going to find out. And I know it's easy to say that now, but somehow you've got to be in the present moment and go, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have a lesson here. For some reason, this is something that God allowed to happen in my life. I need to go to a place of acceptance right now. Or else sometimes you might go out of your mind if you really get into it, right? You must go to that place of acceptance and trust that somehow you're going to look back and see that you got through this hardship.
Even that doesn't make it easy, but let's face it, Tanya, if everything went the way we expected it to, wouldn't it be a boring life?
It would be really boring. It absolutely would be, because we human beings, we're actually quite funny creatures and we love variety. So when things are going too easy, we get bored. So you do need those up and downs, don't you, in order to stimulate yourself, in order to learn, or else it's like having Kentucky or I was going to say Kentucky Fried Chicken, but it's like having
I'm good with that.
anything. You're good with that? The same thing over for dinner every single night. You know, the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
You get over it. And that's just the same with boring stuff happening. You need that up and down excitement.
So let's talk about some strategies when things don't go right, because, we can react in a way where we're just like, oh, actually, in hindsight, that wasn't a great reaction. But what are some ways that we can, if we know something is coming up, that we can prepare ourselves?
I always say, move your body. Firstly, be as prepared as you can be if you know something's going to happen, right? Anticipate it, just like what I'm going to do for the next 2 months. So I'm going to prepare myself. But if you're in the moment and something isn't going your way, the best thing to do is to get up and move your body, breathe in and out. Know that the tension is there. If you know that something is coming up, like with me for the next 2 months, then I'm going to make sure that every single day I do exercise. Every single day I have time for prayer and a time to really center myself and just be still, knowing that anything could happen. And, I'm also going to have this little mantra, I don't mind what happens today.
Okay.
I just don't mind.
You wouldn't want that mantra to be put to the test too much.
I wouldn't want it to be
You don't want it to
put
stretch
the
your resilience
right.
too much. I mean, it would be great and very entertaining for Renovation Confessions, but we do hope that you don't regret saying that in public, Tanya.
I'm going to try it anyway. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for me, and every day go, I don't mind what happens, because I know that there will be a solution for it.
Cool.
And it's probably just going to be my reaction. That's the big drama. It's not going to be the event, but it'll be my reaction. So what if you just calmly go, okay, that didn't go quite right. I don't mind, because I know that it will work out in the end.
So that is what you're going to be repeating to yourself. But maybe we could challenge ourselves to think of our own one. Each day, whatever happens, what's our reaction going to be? How are we going to react? Now, for you, you're going to have that mantra, I don't mind what happens, no matter what. Perhaps we can find a way of saying that too. Hey, Tanya, thank you so much for being a part of the show today, for your confessions on the radio about renovations. We very much appreciate it. And of course, if people want to listen to this piece of audio or any of our previous discussions, where's the best place to head?
You can go to YouTube. Everything is there. So, or my website, but YouTube will have all of our past interviews.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.